Chris Tomlin is my name, and I'm here in my Laguna Beach home in the basement, where I sometimes work as a hobby craftsman. I'm an engineer and geologist, and I work in the field of geotechnical engineering. I'm responsible for determining the structure of the Earth as it impacts proposed developments. Now, one of the things that I do is drill a hole in the ground 24 inches in diameter, up to 150 feet deep. They lower me down in the hole, and I use a pickaxe and a Brunton compass to measure the orientation of the layers of the Earth. I take that information back to the office, I plot it up on a map, and I draw geologic cross-sections. I do this to determine the remedial grading guidelines for the proposed development. The skills that I have, the skills that I use, are called spatial perception, which is the ability to see things from different sides. What I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to design and build a toolbox using a piece of wood that is 4 feet long and 12 inches wide. The design inspiration for the toolbox comes from thinking about circles and squares and something that might be interesting. Turns out there's something called a golden rectangle, which is a combination of a circle and a square, where if you take the midpoint of a square and the radius of a circle that intersects one of the corners of the square and arcs down, that shape is 1 to 1.618, the number phi. This number repeats itself in nature. For example, if you count the number of bees in a beehive and divide the number of female bees by the number of male bees, you get the number 1.618. Okay, so using the number phi, holding to those proportions that actually are 10 by 16, I want to maximize the volume of the box. And the way I do that is through the equation for volume, length times width times height. I'm going to solve that equation for the first derivative using those dimensions 16 and 10. I solve that equation, I get the dimensions 12 by 6 by 2. The next design criteria that I want to use is I want to make my box big enough that my saw will fit into it. So I sized up those dimensions and drew them out on the piece of wood, cut the piece of wood on a table saw, and started to put my box together. Now that we have our box, I have to figure out a way to make a handle. And the inspiration that I'm using for that design comes from Jack Northrop, whose company designed and built the B-2 bomber. What I understand Jack Northrop told his engineers was, you figure out how something fails, and then you add the reinforcing on the side of failure. So with that in mind, I came up with a spline which goes down the center of the box and has the most area to connect with and the least amount of weight. And finally, I added a little pizzazz. Some fabric around the outside and some staples holding it together with a couple of little pockets. That's my box. My name is Chris Tomlin. Thanks for watching.